Guys, I remember when I was in the military, we'd have to go to the range sometimes to qualify on our weapons. And during those times, it's normally we'll get up very early in the morning before the sun is up. And we had to go check out our weapons. We're normally in full battle rattle. And that just means, for those of you that are not military, we have on the Kevlar, we have on the helmet, we have on the bulletproof vest, we have everything, our uniform on, everything. We had to have all of that on. And then when we checked out our weapon, we have to be holding on to our weapon. And then we load up on the bus and you have to sit there with all your gear. And that was always a good time to get some sleep on the bus as we're being sent out to the range. And I remember it was so early in the morning. I want to say it was 5. And on the bus, there was just this one soldier. He was just talking and talking and talking and talking. Like, the bus is kind of silent. Everybody's kind of talking a little bit here and there. But this guy, he was just in the back talking. And I'm like, I could not believe this guy talked and talked and talked and talked. It was dark. And then suddenly you saw the sky is changing. The sun is slowly rising. It's not up yet. He was still talking. Even as I was sleeping, he was talking. The sun is up in the air and it's bright outside. Dude was still talking. I could not believe this guy just was talking so much. Talking so much. Guys, I can tell you one thing about me. It's okay. For me, a man that just chatters all the time, just talk a lot all the time like that, I'm like, no. So, guys, what I learned from this and what I want to talk to you about is sometimes you just have to know when to speak and when not to speak. I'm taking this lesson, guys, as taking this thing that I'm sharing with you and tying it into a lesson. There's a time to speak and there's a time not to speak. And you'll find that in Ecclesiastes. There's a time for everything. There's a time to speak and there's a time to refrain from speaking. Use discernment, guys. Use discernment. The Bible tells us that only a fool utters all his heart. So, guys, in our life, even though I used the chitter chatter back there, he was just talking, but I'm using that to teach you something in your life. Sometimes you don't want to talk too much. You want to know what the Lord wants you to speak, having wisdom in that, and then what the Lord wants you to share. Guys, even in responses, sometimes on my YouTube channel, I will get comments. Certain things are for I should respond to, and the Lord tells me other things I don't respond to. Because certain things, guys, people will say things or they will pose questions to you, not because their heart is to learn, but because they want to debate or because they just want to say something. You understand? Or troubleshoot you. And so it's just in my heart today to talk to someone and to encourage you to use discernment even in your speech. Our tongue, it tells us in the New Testament that, the rudder on a ship is so small and it's used to control a large ship, can move it in any direction. Yet the tongue, is such a small member in our body, but yet it leads to the gates of hell and fire and cannot be controlled. Bitter and sweet can come through the tongue. Death and life can be spoken through the tongue. And so, guys, through the power of the Holy Spirit, we have to know when to speak and when not to speak, to control our tongue. Sometimes you want to just get into the conversation, that juicy gossip apple that's sitting before you. You just want to bite into it and say your piece. Sometimes you want to wet your beak on a conversation. You want to just get in the circle and wet your beak. You understand? And some of you try to be slick Oh, well, I'm not saying nothing. Well, honey, your beak is still moist because you're in the room listening to the gossip. You're listening, you're getting the tea. It doesn't matter if you didn't sip the tea, you brought a cup. So, guys, let us just be mindful of what we are saying, what we are participating in, using discernment in the timing. Sometimes, guys, you may have the right word, but the timing is wrong. The timing is wrong. You're not discerning. Sometimes you just need to hold your peace and be led by the Spirit, and He'll show you when to speak. And when you do things His way, you're going to see that it's effective, very effective. Sometimes people want to correct and say certain things to a person, but they're in a place where they're hurting. There might be loss. There might be certain things, and it's just not the right time. Now, guys, we can't control who comes up on what our content on like YouTube and these platforms. And that's why I tell people sometimes when people get on and they hear a message or they may say certain things, I let them know, hey, every word is not for everybody. You know, every mail that comes in does not necessarily have your address on it. Okay. It's sort of like, you know, when I go to my mailbox and every now and then, or more than I would desire, there'll be the mail for somebody else. Well, it came to my address, but it's not my name on it. This mail is not for me. So I don't open it. It has nothing to do with me. I return it to the post office, put it in the outgoing box, and that's all that I do. So my brothers and sisters, just discern what's for you and what's not. And I want to tie this into, again, refrain from always talking and speaking. Discern and know when you should be speaking and when you should be silent. You learn so much in silence. If you really listen, you will discover the heart of an individual. If you listen to them long enough, you will know what is there. And it's also just in my heart to just speak to someone. There's a person where when you get around people, you feel like you always have to be talking. You feel like you always have to be saying something. And it's really because you feel very nervous and you are not comfortable in your own skin. It's like you feel like you always have to be keeping everyone entertained and have something to say and making everyone laugh. But I want to let you know that when you're in the presence of people, if you feel like you need to say something to keep everything going, then guys, there's something going on in yourself. And you have to probably check in your childhood, whether you felt like you needed to be the person to make everybody feel better, or you did things out of fear to keep someone from being mad at you, or to keep someone from being in a bad mood, or to hide your own feelings. And so that's something you need to kind of delve deeper into with the Lord and let Him bring healing. You do not always have to be entertaining and caring everybody and saying something all the time and always talking, because they may never tell you, but sometimes that may even grate on their spirit. Sometimes they just want to say, will you please shut up? Okay, not be quiet. They probably want to say, would you shut up? But they're not going to say that to you. They just sit there and act like it's okay. There's a time to speak. There's a time to be funny. There's a time to just have a good time. But also just pay attention to that desire in you to feel like you always have to be the life of the party, the one to always be saying something. And sometimes there's some of you may even say things at another person's expense. Ask the Lord to forgive you. If you truly want forgiveness, ask Him to forgive you for that, because that is not His way, especially if you are a child of God. So guys, I'm going to close it here and just say again, put a gate about your lips. Discern, use wisdom and discretion in what you utter, and if you should be even saying anything at the moment at all. All right, guys, peace out.